Well, game week is finally here. We're really excited about it. Just the opportunity to play and get this season started. Um, I've been very encouraged by the leadership of this team, the seniors that we've got, our captains, and uh, and just I think the humility that this group has shown in trying to get better. They realize that we had some disappointing losses last year that we probably could have controlled better, and I think they're determined to do a better job of controlling our own fate through their attitude and effort, and so it's been a good camp. We've stayed fairly healthy, which is remarkable. Typically in camp, we suffer some injuries. It's physical always, and we had a physical camp, but our guys have remained healthy, and that's certainly a positive for us. So we're looking forward to Friday night and and just the opportunity to test ourselves against another team. A college football game is really difficult to win. It doesn't matter who we play, and just look at this past weekend and the great battles, and I think the prognosticators say who they think is supposed to win, but that doesn't matter once the ball gets kicked off. And our guys understand that and know that we're the underdogs in just about every game we play. So we're going to have to bring our very best on Friday night, knowing that Lehigh is going to come in here excited to play just like our guys are. So looking forward to Friday being here at home in Mikey Stadium and the opportunity to see some new faces in our uniform and see how they perform.
Go ahead, Rich.
Rich Marco, Army Radio. What do you want to see right off the bat? Of course, you want to go in and win. What are early things that you want to see this team do on Friday night?
I'd like to see us block and sustain blocks. I'd like to see our defensive players get off of blocks and get to the football. I'd like to see us tackle well. Um, and I'd like to see us have ownership on the football, whether it's us in possession and maintaining possession and not having any turnovers and trying to create some turnovers on defense and on special teams. Those are the things that I'd like to see us do. And if we do those things well, very fundamental things, then we'll at least give ourselves a chance to win. And so we emphasize that every day, but we've placed a tremendous emphasis on those things during preseason camp, and hopefully we won't be disappointed on Friday night.
And Jeff, what's the most exciting thing for you at the start of the football season as a head coach?
Just I think the excitement of being out there with a new team, new faces, um, guys in starting positions for the first time, not really knowing for sure what how they're going to perform when the lights come on. So it's exciting for these guys that are having that opportunity for the first time to see our team play together. Uh, but just the thrill of being out there with a team, being on the sideline and sharing in the competition, I love that, and that never gets old for me. And so I'm looking forward to that on Friday night.
Thank you, Coach.
Ken McMillan, go ahead.
Hi, Jeff. Ken McMillan from the Times Herald Record. Hey, Jeff, did the ones and twos come together pretty well? And what's your comfort level heading into this season?
I think those guys have been playing well together. There's enough veteran players on both sides that it's not a completely new team. These guys have grown up together. They've developed in the program. They've gone through the off-season lifting and spring ball and summer training, out at Camp Buckner at military training. They've done all these things together. So I think they're very comfortable with each other, and we can plug guys in from the second team and the first team and the second team. And there's guys that are third on the depth chart that we have a lot of comfort just putting them in the game and having them play with those groups. We don't practice with it's not like a hockey line where there's 11 guys that play for a series, and then the next series it's 11 new guys. And there are guys rotating in and out throughout the game, and we do that in practice. So I think they develop a comfort level with each other. In terms of my comfort level, I Ken, I don't know if I'm ever comfortable. I was I always feel like, I'm right on the edge, and that I've got to do my job to help our team maintain their intensity and focus, and our coaches to, give them the guidance and leadership that they need to do their jobs. And they got to do their jobs. They're the ones that are coaching the positions, calling the plays, and so, it's my job to give them the leadership that they need. So I don't know. I don't know that I'm ever comfortable. And maybe that's unhealthy, but in my mind, that's a healthy attitude to make sure that I always have my focus and my intensity where it needs to be.
Jeff, you graduated a lot of seniors each of the last 2 years. So for the Army fans, they're going to see a lot of new faces this week. Yes, some of them played, backup roles and stuff last year, but this is a um, pretty raw lineup as far as starters go. What do you want to tell the fans?
Oh, buy a ticket, come out, fill the seats, and have fun. I mean, I hope they won't wait. Just I hope they're there on Friday night in full force, and I hope they'll continue to come through the season. And I think one thing that our guys do is compete, and they're going to play hard, and they're going to play tough and physical. It doesn't guarantee victory, but I think people enjoy watching this team play. They're not going to be different from that standpoint. I think we've got a healthy culture in our team about the way we play, and hopefully, we're gonna put a good product out there that they'll enjoy watching. And there's a lot of new challenges, obviously, with the new conference and the opportunities that come with those challenges. There's a lot of guys that they have seen in maybe backup roles that are going to be playing in a more prominent role this year. But that's exciting. And everybody that I've coached here at one time or another has been in a behind the scenes role, and they find their way to the top of the depth chart. And there's been some really good players and some guys that are still playing on Sundays that were in those roles that kind of emerged with an opportunity that came through graduation or an injury. And hopefully that'll be the same this year. Hopefully there'll be some guys that'll will emerge from their backup roles into these starting positions and really perform well for us.
Last thing, Jeff, can you offer a few words about the comeback of Bill Katzijanis, coming off his injury last year, finding a new position? What's the situation with Connor Finucane? And is there any player that's kind of cracked the starting lineup that you're kind of most happy with or proud of?
Well, Bill Katzianis has had a really good camp, and probably has played as well as any of our offensive linemen in preseason camp. And I don't know if I compare and just say, oh, this is the best offensive lineman, but he's playing as good as anybody. Connor Finucane I've just been really proud of him. His humility, how he approached and attacked the opportunities that he had to grow as a leader in the summer. He did a couple of different leadership details and performed at the very top of his class. He got his air assault wings, went through air assault school. There's not very many cadets that have their air assault wings already, and he does. I think he really embraced the opportunity to grow as a leader and prepare himself as a second lieutenant in the Army, and remarkably, fast just in picking up the playbook. And a lot of this is it's not review or he just was able to grab his playbook from 2 years ago. There's different terminology and some different things that we're doing, but he picked up on it really quickly. And physically, he's starting to come back around. You've been out to practice, and he looks different than he did a year ago. And he may never get to that point during this season, but he's working really hard to regain strength and muscle mass that he lost in doing those summer details and really preparing himself for an opportunity to be an infantry officer. So I'm excited he's back. He's done a really good job of just being a team player and a senior leader and allowing the leadership that's in place with our captains to do their job, and he's just supporting them, and been really proud of him. In terms of guys that have emerged, I think there's a lot of guys that are going to show up on Saturday night that maybe haven't had as many snaps. David Crossan, who's a tight end, Parker Pulaski, who's just a sophomore tight end. I think those two guys have really had a good battle, and there'll be times where both of them are in the game, but I think both of those guys have really shown promise. David's struggled with some injuries throughout his career, but he's done a good job staying healthy. The offensive line has got some depth, and it's not often that we've been able to say that, but right now those guys are healthy, and there's a good number of guys that have some experience playing in games, starting experience, which I'm excited about. On the defensive side of the ball, there's some guys that are going to be starting for the first time. So some inexperience, but I'm encouraged by the way that they've practiced and prepared, and we'll find out about some of them the first time that they're out there on defense, and somebody has to block them and run a ball against them, or throws a pass play against a secondary player. But they practiced well and they prepared, and hopefully they're going to make enough plays. The other teams we play, they all got guys on scholarship too, so they're going to make some plays, I know, and hopefully we'll figure out a way to make more than they do.
Thank you, Jeff. Good luck.
Thank you.
Seth Mendelson.
Coach, good luck this season. Talk to me, if you could, about the team, how they handling the new league. Is there an enthusiasm among the players that they're playing in the AAC, or is it are they just handling it every week, just another game?
We got enough to worry about this week against Lehigh, and so we're not going to get the cart out in front of the horse. That league's going to be extremely challenging. I think our guys are smart enough to figure that out, that league has a lot of talented players, tremendous coaches, and every week is going to be a battle for us. But we're just going to try to do the best we can each week to prepare for the next opponent. It's always the way we've approached it. And it's got to be more about us and the process of preparing our team and playing our very best than concerning ourselves with an entire conference or entire schedule of teams. There's just way too much out there to think about and to prepare for. So Lehigh's enough right now, and Lehigh's got a well-coached football team. They're going to be really hungry. I saw 18 guys that are starting in their 22 that have had starting experience of some kind. So it's not a team that's inexperienced. And I watched their final game of the year, watched a lot of film on those guys, but their final game of the year against Lafayette, which is their big rivalry. And, they're playing really hard. Their guys at the time they were 2-8, and they're playing their butts off. And, that's not easy to do, to keep a team motivated, and you give credit to their players and to their coaches that they continue to do that. So they're going to come in here with a great spirit and energy and excitement about playing this game, and hopefully our guys will too. And it's hard to win a game, and you only got to look back to 2015. We opened the season here against Fordham and they beat us. And I reminded our players who were in elementary school at the time that can happen. So hopefully our guys have a healthy sense of humility about who we are and what we need to do to try to win.
My second and final question is, you mentioned about the new players on defense. Is there anybody that stands out among the new players who are starting on defense that you want to talk about that you have high hopes for? I'm sure you have high hopes for everybody, but maybe somebody, one or two guys who might stand out.
I'm excited to see Andon Thomas play at inside linebacker. He's a guy that he really was in the mix a year ago and got hurt, and likely would have been at least slugging around for an opportunity to start last year. And so he's had a really good offseason, a really good camp, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play out there. Ella Modozi is a very long and athletic guy that plays the outside linebacker position into the boundary, the same place we had played Andre Carter. He's not the same build, but athletic, long player, and I'm excited about him. I think if he'll continue to progress and learn, that he's got a chance to have a good year for us. The other outside linebacker position, the nickel position, Chance Keith, who's a senior, is going to be starting for the very first time, and that's a guy that's worked extremely hard to put himself in position to have this opportunity. So he and Josiah Banks are really kind of slugging it out over there. Chance has earned the opportunity to start, but Josiah is going to play a lot. So that position, having two seniors, those two guys, I'm looking forward to seeing the opportunity that they have. And then, with our run game, we've got some experienced guys: Kanye Udo, Hayden Reed, Miles Stewart, Noah Short. Obviously with our quarterback, the run game, having some guys that have carried the ball in games, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that kind of takes shape on Friday night. And we have to do a great job up front of blocking for those guys, but seeing those guys carry the ball and seeing them play on the perimeter. And so I don't know what our kicking game will look like. We got a lot of new guys playing in those specialist positions. Granati for the first time as a place kicker. Anderson Britton is the kickoff guy. Punter. I assure you that's going right up to game time. That's been the best battle of any position all preseason camp, and it's not because we don't think any of them can do it. I think there's a grouping of guys there that all are doing a really good job and can be our punter and be effective. So, I'm excited to see how that plays itself out.
Joe
Thank you.
Iacano, go ahead.
Hey, Coach Monken. First question, as I looked at the depth chart today, thought I knew the roster really well, but there is an offensive guard projected to start that I don't know much about. Paolo Gennarelli, could you talk a little bit about him?
He's a really strong, physical player. He's like one of those big road graders, with the great big tires that just push everything around. That's kind of who he is as a player. Really strong, good at the point of attack. Obviously inexperienced, but has had a good spring and a good summer, and a good preseason camp, and has earned the opportunity to be in that position to start the game. Now, as I mentioned, we've got a lot of offensive linemen that have some experience and have been in the mix, the two deep. We're very comfortable with those players in that two deep lineup. Guys are starters for a reason. They've played the best or practiced the best, but there's other combinations that could happen there. Lucas Scott has played there at right guard with Connor Finucane at the right tackle. Those guys have played together in preseason camp. They played side by side in games. There's other combinations that can happen. We talked about Bill Katsianis. Bill's also the backup center. So if something happened with Brady, Bill could be the center, move guys around on the offensive line, and people sliding up and moving over. And you got Booby Law on the left side, who's got a lot of game experience. And I think we got a great comfort level with what he's capable of. So we'll we'll see how it happens. And when you're blocking somebody else and they're putting up a fight that's different than maybe the scout team, and there's a real victory at stake. Never know. So I'm hopeful that Paulo will answer the bell and play really well on Friday night. He's certainly practiced well.
And my follow-up and final question is around there's a number of rule changes this year, specifically a couple that are standing out to us that we'd like to ask you about. First, with the technology around the helmet mic for one player, how much you guys may or may not use that technology. Number two would be the tablets that are available now on the sideline for the team to look at kind of overhead views of the 22 and everything. And then last but not least, the 2-minute warning that's been implemented in college football, or 2-minute timeout, they're calling it, and how that might impact game planning, if at all.
We intend to use the technology that is offered and available. So we've been practicing with the helmet microphones, or the helmet speakers, I should say. There's no microphone in the helmet, just a speaker, which gives our coaches an opportunity to communicate with one player on the field who then can share that information with others. It's valuable in the offensive huddle, certainly for offensive plays, to be able to get that communication quickly without having to signal it or run it in. But certainly with the cutoff at 15 seconds, there's a limit. So you can call the play, or you might be able to make some last second adjustments before it hits 15 seconds. But we'll use that. We'll use it on defense. We'll use it on special teams. There are certain special teams plays where it is turned off, the kickoff plays, but the other plays, it just helps if we need to make an adjustment and somebody's misaligned, we can tell the guy that's got the speaker in his helmet to go get the guy aligned correctly. And as far as the tablets go, very valuable in terms of a tool for teaching and for giving instant feedback. We use those on Friday night for our scrimmage, and they were remarkably easy for our coaches to be able to use and to share with our players. In terms of the 2-minute timeout, there's a set of analytics that kind of goes with the 2-minute timeout, and it does make it a little more complex. The being in a lead, being behind, game being tied, we're on offense, we're on defense, how many timeouts we have, how many timeouts the other team has. It's why I rely on the analytics to be able to help us in those situations, because it's just impossible to memorize every scenario and what the right decision would be in those situations. So, we'll utilize the data that we have as best as possible and try to make the right decisions. But it'll be interesting, and it does really change the dynamics of the game at the end of the half and at the end of the fourth quarter. That 2-minute timeout, it will affect, I think, the outcome of games where teams have maybe been able to just run out the clock. I think that 2-minute timeout is going to change a little bit, whether you're fighting to try to get another opportunity to get the ball back, or you're fighting to get the ball under 2 minutes so you can run the clock out.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Ken Kreitzer, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Coach. Hey, just to ask you about two new players on defense. Jaden Mays, the cornerback, a sophomore, although he was out injured last year, and your nose tackle, Jacob Tuioti. Hope I pronounced that correctly. Tell us about those two players emerging at the top of the depth chart.
Jaden's a very athletic kid. He did sit out last season, and fortunately we've got him back, and he's had a little bit of an injury this preseason camp, but we're hopeful that he's going to be ready to go for Friday night, and whether he'll be a starter or not this game, I think he's going to be in the mix to be a starter throughout the season. Jacob Tuioti has been in our program He's played in several games for us. He too has battled some injuries, but got himself right now at the top of the depth chart at nose. He's played nose, he's played end, and it kind of was a little bit of an exchange. We had him at end and Kyle Lewis at nose, and they basically just switched places, and felt like our defensive coaches felt like that was the best lineup to start us off this season. And he's quick, really good feet. A lot of those defensive linemen, a lot of linemen in general aren't blazing fast straight ahead, but he's got really good quickness and good hands and great flexibility and bend, and those are all good traits to have for the position that he plays.
I just ask you about the Lehigh coach, Kevin Cahill, second year, comes out of 10 years coaching as offensive coordinator at Yale, and just have a tendency to pass, although they gave up a lot of sacks last year, 21. And just when you analyze an opponent like this, how much do you have to now look at the transfer portal, whether they've gained players or lost players?
Oh, I think that comes into play every time we face an opponent now in college football, is looking at personnel and really trying to, at this point, project who might be in the game, project who might be playing in certain places. They're not a team that is loaded up on the transfer portal. It's not like some teams we faced. There's 50 new guys from the season before. So essentially sometimes a brand new team. They're not necessarily a team like that, but they've got some new guys, and a lot of that is just projecting who might play where and what the matchups might look like. So I'm certain they're going to be improved. He took over a program that had been struggling for the last couple of years before he got there, and as I said, was really impressed with the way they finished the season and how hard they continue to fight and compete. And sometimes those sacks are a little bit misleading. When a team gets behind, they don't have much choice. They can just run the ball and run the clock out and accept the loss, or they can continue to fight and try to play. And sometimes when you do that and you're trying to come from behind in certain games, you get sacked sometimes. So those statistics might be a little bit skewed as to who they really are as a team.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks,
John
Ken.
Turan, go ahead.
Coach, just a general question here. From year to year, players change, bodies' capabilities change. How do you see the style of this team playing out this year compared to past years?
Our football team?
Yes, sir.
Not any different. We've got the same goals. I want to be the best running team in the country. I want to be the best defense at stopping the run in the country. I want to play great in the kicking game, and I think we can try to level what physical shortcomings we might have with being a great running team, stopping the run and making plays in the kicking game. And that's my goal. My philosophy hasn't changed. We want to be tough and rugged and physical. And if we do that, then I feel like we'll at least put ourselves in position to compete and give ourselves a chance to win. We can't turn the ball over. If we do that, that's going to keep us from winning. So we got to emphasize the fundamentals, be great blockers, be great tacklers. And so it's pretty boring. It's not complicated. It's just hard to do. And blocking and tackling and taking care of the ball and playing great in the kicking game, none of those things are easy, especially when you're playing against people that are on scholarship, that are very talented. They got great coaches that are putting them in position to make plays themselves. So there's a certain formula for winning here. And so, we haven't mastered it. We just have recognized what that formula is here, and we got to try to do that really well.
Thank you, Coach.
Sal, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good, Sal.
Can you talk about how comfort you are having Bryson as your quarterback. We haven't talked about him yet today. And just wondering, we know he's a leader of the offense, but he's become captain and a leader of the team, one of the leaders of the team, no doubt.
After having been the starter for a year, his confidence is so much better right now at this point than it was a year ago. I think he feels like he's got some things to prove from last year. He puts far too much of the blame of maybe our shortcomings offensively last year on himself. Those certainly weren't all on him, but the quarterback makes a big difference, and our quarterback makes a difference, and he makes a difference for us. Hopefully that difference will be positive, and I believe it will be. I believe in him. His teammates believe in him. It's why they voted him captain, and he's had a really good offseason and worked really, really hard with his teammates and with our coaching staff to prepare himself. So I'm excited for him and the opportunities that he has to lead this team. I'm confident in his ability to lead our team and make plays. But again, going back to just the previous question, we got to run the ball really well. So he's got to help our team do that. We got to take care of the ball. He's got to help our team take care of the ball. It's going to be in his hands every single snap. So it gets started with him, and I'm confident he'll do a good job.
When you recruited Bryson, I know that he also played defense and he had a really tough mentality. What kind of drew you to him originally, like when you guys were recruiting him?
He's a physical player, did a lot of things for his team. He's a coach's kid. And I really like coaches' kids. They understand the game. They take a lot of pride in the team. They're most often very unselfish. They're pleasers. They want to please their teammates and their coaches, and they're oftentimes very good leaders. So yeah, I think he's all of those things. And he's a physical, rugged guy that runs the ball in our system the way we need a quarterback to run the football.
One more, Coach, on Tyrell Robinson. Do you have a timetable on when he might be able to start practicing yet, or is that still to be determined?
It's still to be determined. I don't know for sure. He is making great progress, and he is ahead of where we anticipated he would be. We fully expect for him to play and be in games this fall. What game that will be to start off with, I don't know. But we haven't put him in a contact drill yet, but I don't think we're too far away from that. And so hopefully in the coming weeks we'll have a better idea. And I'd love for him to be in a game before the end of September. I don't know if that'll happen, but the way he's progressing, I think there's an opportunity or a chance that might happen.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
And lastly, anything from Spectrum News? I think we're all set. Thanks,
All
Coach.
right. Have a great day, everybody.